Hi friends, I'm your spicy sister. You have likely been told many tales, but the one I share with you today is unusual and exceptional. This is a story about a girl and a snake, a bond formed between two who could not comprehend one another. Have you ever heard of a girl marrying a snake? Still, be sure to listen all the way through to discover this mysterious and astonishing tale. Its truth will amaze you. Long ago, a lovely girl named Alia lived in a tiny village and was well known throughout the community. She did not come from a wealthy family, but her independence and humble nature made her a role model among the villagers. She labored in the fields and found joy in her work. The village knew her as a diligent and trustworthy girl. There was another distinctive trait Alia possessed, her profound devotion. Each morning, she visited the ancient Shiva temple in the village to pray. This temple stood on a small hill beyond the village and housed an old shivling that people worshipped with great fervor. Alia regarded the temple as a second home, where she not only received Lord Shiva's blessings but also sought comfort during difficult moments. One day, she went to the temple to offer milk to the shivling, carrying a pot from her home. She believed that worshipping Lord Shiva brought serenity into her life. That day, too, she sensed a divine presence as she entered the temple. When she arrived, she found the temple entirely empty and felt something oddly eerie, though she dismissed the feeling. She immersed herself in prayer and bent to pour the milk, then suddenly, a snake appeared, coiled near the shivling. Alia was frightened at the sight and startled by the scene, but she gathered her courage and attempted to offer the milk. As she began to pour, the snake moved forward and began to drink. Terrified, she pulled back, leaving the milk behind, and hurried away from the temple feeling exhausted and afraid. The snake slid down from the shivling and slowly vanished. Still, Alia finished her worship, offered prayers before the shivling, and left the milk there before departing. The next Monday, she returned. This time, the same snake came and drank the milk smoothly. This pattern continued for several weeks. Every Monday, the snake waited at the shivling and drank the milk she offered. One day, Alia was unable to go to the temple because she had to work in the fields. While she was farming, the snake appeared. Though afraid, she noticed it left quietly. That evening, as Alia returned from the farm, the snake crossed her path. She began to wonder if it had come to remind her that she had skipped the temple. She quickly collected milk and hurried to the temple, where the same snake was curled near the shivling. Alia felt a wave of relief. That night, as she lay in bed, a question lingered in her mind. Was this snake coming to remind her not to forget her duty? Was it something more, or just coincidence? She fell asleep still wondering. The following Monday, she returned to the temple. This time, the snake was not wrapped around the shivling. It was sitting near a box, as though trying to convey a message. Surprised, Alia laughed softly and asked, "What is it? Have you something to show me?" The snake shifted, almost impatiently, as Alia placed the milk near the box. Instead of drinking, the snake slid down and began to climb onto the box. Alia watched in amazement, sensing it wanted to communicate. Then she noticed a message inscribed in bold letters. It read, "I was not always a snake. A error of mine caused this form. If a virgin girl gives me milk every Monday, I will become human again." Alia read the words again, her hands trembling. Could this be true? Was this snake once a person? Many questions filled her mind, but one thing was clear: this was no ordinary snake. It was a cursed soul seeking freedom. She looked into the snake's eyes, which held a deep and pleading gaze, as though calling to her. Slowly, hesitantly, she reached out her hand and said, "Is it true? Were you really human?" The snake did not react. Alia sat quietly, took a deep breath, and thought, if the message is true, how long has this soul been trapped? If I offer milk every Monday, I can help him become human again. She turned to the snake and said gently, "I will give you milk every Monday. I will help you become human again." Hearing this, the snake seemed to understand and slowly left the temple. From then on, Alia brought not only milk but also fruits and flowers. She began to feel that this was not just a snake, but a soul yearning to be human. Slowly, a unique relationship developed between Alia and the snake. Where she was once afraid, she now felt comfort. Often, while working in the fields, she sensed a presence and would find the snake resting nearby. It never harmed her. Alia would smile and ask, "Why do you follow me? Aren't you afraid of me?" But the snake would only gaze quietly back. Eventually, the villagers noticed that Alia went to the temple each Monday to feed a snake. Some saw it as a good omen, others were fearful. Some women asked Alia, "Aren't you scared to feed that snake?" Alia smiled and replied, "It has never hurt me. Perhaps Lord Shiva sent it to me." The women shook their heads and said, "Even if it hasn't yet, remember, it is a snake. It could bite." But Alia paid no heed. She knew this was no ordinary snake, and she remained committed to her choice. After 12 Mondays, Alia began to feel the snake trusted her completely. Sometimes, when she sat tired in the field, the snake would appear but never startle her. She grew attached to it and started to see it not as a creature, but as a true companion. One cool night, as she sat outside her house looking at the sky, many thoughts filled her mind. What mistake had he made? Who was he really? And if he changed back, would he remember her? As she was thinking, she felt something at her feet. She looked down, it was the snake. She took a deep breath and said with a soft laugh, "You found me again." Only 4 Mondays remained. Alia continued her visits with even greater dedication. But a strange restlessness grew within her. Would the snake really become human? Would it recognize her? Or would it simply leave? These thoughts troubled her, but she resolved to keep her promise no matter what. On the final Monday, she prepared not only milk but also fruits and flowers. The temple was quiet, yet the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Would a miracle truly happen? Or was it all just illusion? The snake was coiled motionless around the shivling, as always. With trembling hands, Alia set the bowl of milk before it and said gently, "Today is the last Monday. If what the letter said is true, today you will return to your real form." The snake began to drink the milk. Alia's eyes were fixed upon it. An extraordinary energy filled the temple. The lamps flickered brightly, as though a powerful presence had arrived. Alia felt something supernatural occurring. As the snake finished the milk, a glow began to emanate from its body. Other temple visitors watched in fear and wonder. A soft light radiated from the snake's body, and Alia stood stunned. This was no ordinary event. The snake started to twist on the temple floor, its form shifting within the brilliant light. Before Alia's eyes, an unbelievable scene unfolded. Within moments, the snake had vanished, and in its place stood a young man. He appeared to be 25 or 26 years old. His handsome and solemn face showed both peace and pain, as if he had endured years of suffering and was finally free. The young man spoke in a gentle voice, "Thank you, Alia. Without you, I would never have returned to my true form." Alia stared in wonder and curiosity. "Who cursed you?" she asked. The young man said, "My name is Rahul. I was a prince, but in my pride and anger, I insulted a holy sage. He cursed me to live as a snake until a pure-hearted girl gave me milk every Monday. You not only freed me, but you cleansed my soul." Alia was speechless. She could hardly believe what was happening. Was this truly the same cursed soul she had fed all these months? Rahul looked at Alia and said, "Now that I am free, I must return to my kingdom. But I will never forget your kindness and humanity." For months, Alia had considered the snake her friend. Now that he was human, would he leave forever? Softly, Alia asked, "Will you go away?" Rahul smiled and said, "I will go nowhere without you. You gave me new life. That life is incomplete without you." Tears glistened in Alia's eyes. Was this real? The one she knew as a snake was now standing before her. The temple bells rang as if Lord Shiva himself was blessing this sacred union. Her heart swelled with incredible joy, hesitation, and overwhelming emotion. Rahul, now a divine and striking young man, reached for her hand. "Will you be my life partner?" he asked. Alia's mind raced. Everything was happening so quickly. Moisture filled her eyes, but in place of doubt, there was now belief. Softly, she said, "If Lord Shiva has brought us together, no one can keep us apart." In Rahul's eyes, she saw sincerity and love. Some villagers who had gathered smiled and nodded. Alia said yes. The next day, they were married before the shivling. With the sacred fire as witness, their union was sanctified. The villagers came to accept this supernatural love story. After the wedding, Rahul said to Alia, "Let us journey to a new place, away from this village, where no one will judge us for our past." They left together and began a new life. Many years later, Rahul and Alia were a happy and devoted couple. They lived in a beautiful home filled with love and loyalty. Alia still offered milk every Monday at the Shiva temple, not out of duty, but to remember the power of faith and devotion. Friends, this story teaches us that true devotion and selfless love have immense power. When we help others with a sincere heart and fulfill our duties, God makes our path easier. Believe in loyalty and truth, they are life's greatest treasures, and they can help us overcome any difficulty.